Today on the show, I spoke to Maarten Henskens from the Plasm project, who's working on Shiden, a parachain for Kusama. He told us all about the challenges of launching a parachain crowd loan and explained the importance of building a strong smart contract platform to foster decentralized application development so that the primary kids that he teaches in school today in his day job will become tomorrow's DeFi geniuses. Today we have with us Maarten Henskens, infrastructure developer at Plasm Network, who is hard at work on Shiden, which is a parachain for Kusama. Welcome, Maarten. To start it off, perhaps you can tell us just a little bit about your background and how you got involved with Plasm, and maybe like your introduction to the space and everything.
Yeah, sure. Hi, great to be here. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you guys from Kakken. My name is Maarten. I'm from Ghent. It's a small town, a small village, a town actually in Belgium. Um, yeah, I'm work as infrastructure developer at Plasm Network. So what I basically do at Plasm Network is helping projects to deploy their project into our ecosystem and supporting them through the whole path of becoming an application in our environment. So actually, I came into the space 6 years ago. I was very intrigued into the blockchain world, and I started working for some projects during the ICO hype in 2017, where there were projects popping up everywhere, and I joined some projects in community management, and that's actually where my first job started in the blockchain industry. Then I switched my career back to teaching, and I became back a primary school teacher. But now, last summer, 2020, I decided I really wanted to work full time into the blockchain industry. And now, end of this month, I will be working full time at the Plasm ecosystem. So I'm really happy to have this opportunity. And not only I want to thank the whole team of Plasm Network for giving me this opportunity, but yeah, I also maybe sound a little bit weird, but I also want to thank the pandemic is happening, because that was a really great starting point for me to have the time to learn more about other projects and to get more involved and to find out for myself. I really wanted to do something else with my career, and it was a great opportunity to learn more about the blockchain industry and learn more about developing and things like that. So yeah.
Well, that's really interesting. I mean, I think it's always fascinating to find out what it is that really pushes people over the edge to join blockchain, because it's never usually like a very easy jump
No.
into the space. It's usually something dramatic that happens that it causes you to go over there. But I think we've all gone through the whole research, go down the rabbit hole of learning about all this stuff, and then we just have to get involved. So welcome to the the
Welcome in the
blockchain.
blockchain. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great to be here. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it. It's a
exactly.
fascinating world, actually. Yeah, really love it.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I really love the idea of Plasm and what you guys are trying to do. I mean, I think a lot of people don't really understand, um, you know, how unique Polkadot is in respect to the relay chain versus the parachains, and how the relay chain really doesn't. It's not the same as Ethereum. It
No,
doesn't have the smart contract language and processing within it. And I think Plasm and subsequently Shiden, they both helped to resolve that issue. I mean, what was kind of the? I mean, I know you just joined the project recently, but maybe you can give us some background on like the origin story for like Plasm and how like I mean, it seems kind of obvious in some ways, but like what was like the original goal, and like what have you guys really been working on the last few years to try and solve?
yeah, great question. So actually, Sota, the CEO of Plasma Network, he founded the company in April 2019, I think. He founded Plasma ecosystem because he was also looking to create a company in the blockchain industry. Then he met Gavin Woods and they became talking. And actually, Sota, the CEO, was together with some other great leading projects now in the ecosystem, actually the first who wanted to build something unique in the Polkadot ecosystem. And actually, like you were saying in your question, that the relay chain does not support smart contracts. So it's really necessary to have a smart contract project connected as a parachain in the ecosystem for developers to deploy decentralized applications and so much more on top of the Polkadot ecosystem. So having a smart contract hub on top of Polkadot and Kusama is actually necessary to help scale Polkadot and Kusama.
Yeah, I mean, I think arguably the most powerful thing about Ethereum has been the ability to build dapps so flexibly. Um, I think having all of those capabilities on Polkadot is just almost table stakes at this point. But
Yeah.
like, I think a project like yours has just become such a fundamental utility for people building on top of it. I mean, I know we've kind of already jumped into the idea of like building dApps and smart contracts, but like let's take a step back. Like what for the average person who's probably like new, like let's assume they're not familiar with the Ethereum ecosystem and all of that. Like what like I'm a new developer, not a blockchain developer, and I find out about Plasm. Like what's the pitch? How can I understand why this is so powerful?
Yeah, that's first I have to start with a very small technical introduction of our network, and then I will break it down. So I will explain every small detail about it, so it will be much clearer. So actually, Shiden network is the sister network of Plasm network. So I will be talking about Shiden because Shiden is now connected to Kraken. So I'll be focusing on this part. So Shiden network is a scalable multi-chain, multi-virtual machine contract hub on Kusama that natively supports cross-virtual machine communication and layer 2 scaling solutions from day one. Now, this is very technical, and I'm sure a lot of listeners will be saying like, "Oh, what's he saying?" So I will break it down a little bit. So, what do I mean with multi-chain? I mean with this is that in our ecosystem we have built bridges. So we have built bridges with other blockchains, other ecosystems. So we have now a bridge with Ethereum. We have a bridge with Cosmos, and we are working with other bridges as well. So this is where interoperability joins in this game, and it's no longer a chain of blocks that we are used to hearing. It's a blockchain, but actually it's a web of chains going further to the Web 3, building a new future with the Web 3.0. So that's what I mean with the multi-chain part in my introduction about Shaden Network. Then we also have the multi-virtual machine contract hub. What does I mean with this? But so on Shaden Network, developers can deploy Solidity and Viper smart contracts through our EVM palettes. That's are actually smart contracts that can be deployed on Ethereum. Ethereum, a well-known project. So developers use that language to deploy applications on Ethereum. So through our EVM palette, those projects can just be deployed also on our ecosystem. So if you have an application on Ethereum, you want to join the Polkadot ecosystem, you can easily have your smart contracts deployed through our EVM palette, and everything will run in our ecosystem. So, and besides having the support for Solidity contracts, we also support smart contracts based on WebAssembly, and those contracts are written in Ink, and Ink is a contract language created by Parity itself, so the founding company of Polkadot. And this will bring WASM into smart contracts. Now, the key advantages of having WASM in smart contracts is their high performance. They are very light, and they also expand the application for smart contracts. So smart contracts can do a lot more things than they used to do with Solidity or with Viper. And also, WebAssembly is also native support for the substrate-based blockchains like Shaded Network. So we are built on Rust, and WebAssembly is also using Rust and things like that. So it's actually very supportive for Shiden network as well. So um, if you should compare WebAssembly smart contracts with traditional virtual machines like EVM, they are more powerful and they are more scalable. And we think the Inc. Contract ecosystem is growing fast, and we will expect more applications to show up in the near future. Now, EVM is still the popular kid in school, so everybody knows EVM. EVM is still, yeah, the main thing you need to do as a developer to know how everything works, and it will work actually as a gateway for new developers as well. So that's why it's so important to also have EVM available in our ecosystem and WebAssembly as well. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you make a good point about the EVM being kind of a transition situation. I mean, there's just so many people learning Solidity. I hear about it all the time, and I don't know how well that compares to Ink or how much better that will be eventually. But I think having that ability to move your contracts over, your existing contracts over, and have that easy learning curve will be really, really massive advantage for getting people like started for sure.
Yeah, of course. And one other great unique feature that is available in our ecosystem is the cross virtual machine communication. What I mean with this is if you have two developers, the one is building in Solidity, the other one is building in WebAssembly, we have created the possibility solution that those contracts can call each other, they can work with each other, and they can interoperability is very important also for the smart contracts. So that's something unique. And yeah, that is all. We just created this in our test network and in a test network and in our testnet environment, and we managed to call with a Solidity contract to call a WebAssembly contract as well. So that's very unique, and we are very glad that this will be one of our key features as well in our ecosystem, and very huge for future developers as well.
Yeah, I think all of this is like really, really important for, especially for such a burgeoning community like what we're seeing with the Parachains and Polkadot. So a lot of the reason why we've been talking and stuff is because Kraken is supporting the Parachain auctions that are actually going on right now, and I was really curious. I mean, maybe to give people a little sense of like how things are going on behind the scenes, like what exactly has the experience been like so far for you guys since like announcing you're going to do the crowd loan, and like as you're building up towards like the first Parachain auction period?
Yeah, that's what that's, that's a lot have happened with our team because like everyone knows, we never knew the date upfront. So actually, we
Yeah.
knew it at the same time. The whole world was aware of it. So we never had insight from Gavin or other developers like, "Hey, get
I don't
ready
think anybody
because
did.
in a couple of days we are going to start." No, we just had to wait until. So we had the ability to follow the process because we knew everything will be on West End first with the shell with State Mine, and then State Mine will be connected to Kusama. So we were aware of the steps that were needed to take before getting into the auctions. So the moment they announced that State Mine is not a shell anymore, but it's actually connected as a parachain, that was something very huge because that at that moment we knew, okay, it will be in a couple of weeks if nothing goes wrong with connecting with State Mine and the parachain. So that went great. So the moment we knew about State Mine and it will be connected on West End on the test network, and then on Kusama we were working on our strategy. Everything was in place. We had a Genesis file ready for launching Shader network, so everything was ready. But still, we still had to wait for the developers of Parity saying that, okay, now you can connect your shell, your Genesis to Kusama, and then it was still okay. And at that moment, it was at June the 8th, I think. Yeah. And for in my time zone, it was okay. It was, I think, for 5 p.m. But for our developers who were in Japan, it was like 12 a.m., almost after midnight. So
Yeah.
I know about Sota, a CEO. He had to stay up all night to follow the process and to get everything just ready, to get everything ready for the crowd loan. And now the crowd loans are running, and yeah, it's really great. It's very exciting as well because I'm looking forward for next week for the first auction to start, and all the other yeah projects are coming to the to the as Parathread and Parachain. So yeah, looking forward to the whole adventure that's coming our way.
Yeah, it's like it's been fascinating watching all of this, especially from our side as well, because our engineers also have to accommodate the same kind of situation as yours, but for all the project teams, and it's like watching. I think we spoke to somebody within, I don't know, I can't remember, Parody or Web3, and and they're like, well, we don't know, we just wait for Gavin to kind of let us know. And I think the whole world kind of feels that same way. You know, I think the other interesting dynamic there is that normally when project teams are building their own blockchains, they control everything from like start to finish. So like they determine the date that the blockchain goes live, when
Yeah,
they deploy this or that, and it's like everybody's kind of just waiting for the kind of underlying layer to finish, and then they can participate. So there is a little bit more collaboration that has to go on, I think, between that group and the project teams. So
yeah,
yeah,
that's true. This is
um,
actually how the Polkadot ecosystem is built. That because um, we don't see the other projects as competition. They are just we work closely with other projects as well. So all those projects are now listed as in the crowd loan. We know each one of them, and we're talking to each other and helping each other. Yeah, so that's also the power of the Polkadot ecosystem, that all the projects actually are contributed to each other and helping each other. Like, oh, like this palette is not working for me, the developers are working together, they help me. This That's a great thing about the Polkadot ecosystem. Also very important to to scale Polkadot and to make it a vibrant community and a vibrant ecosystem.
does your team collaborate a lot with the other project teams?
Yes, we do. We have, yeah, for example, with Akala, we made the first cross-chain messaging. So we worked together with Akala during the on Rococo, on the testnet of the Parachains. We made cross-chain messaging passing between each other. So we work very closely with Akala. So we also are partner with the Builders Program from Parity, but other developers of other projects as well. We also work with Moonbeam. We have a group with each other where we talk and help each other, and they are they know a lot about connecting to Ethereum as well. So if we have some special feature, they sometimes have the more knowledge because they are focusing on that part. So we go to them and they will help us and so on. So that's the great thing. And also with other projects like Bifrost, who's also coming to Kraken, they offer to use their proof of stake mechanism as well to join crowd loans in the future. So we are working together, and we actually want to use other projects, their product as well in our ecosystem. That's the great thing about the Polkadot ecosystem because, as you may know, Polkadot actually is already a scaling solution because of the sharding, and all those parachains that will be connected to the relay chain will act as a shards. So we need each other to scale the whole ecosystem. So
Hmm.
that's one most then I think it's very important to have a good relationship with everyone. So that's a
Yeah.
great aspect in the Polkadot ecosystem.
Yeah, you said that you guys don't really view each other as like competitors. There is one aspect of this whole thing that does make you competitors, and that's the slot auctions. You guys are technically kind of competing for slot auctions. I mean, how does that kind of competition dynamic shaped your strategy for like how you guys decided to go for one of the slots to bid on it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was not so easy to make a strategy because we didn't know how much will it take to become a bar chain. So we are now talking actually about this for the first auctions that are now happening. Let's say for the first five, six, maybe the 10. Um, then that's very important that because we are aiming to be one of the first. Okay, not maybe not the first, but maybe second or third. That's our main goal, to become one of the first Parachains. Um, and the competitive part will only be there during now, actually. In the future, this will not happen anymore because let's say we will win the first auction. We have the lease period for a year, and then we have to go for another lease period. But during that lease, during that auction time, the other projects who are now connected, who are then connected as a Parachains, will not bid on that auction. So then the competition will be less because the main project will still be connected and are not going for another lease because they don't need a lease at that point at that moment.
Hmm.
So it will only be the first five, six, maybe the first 10 that will be competitive. And it's just the hype is now here with the crowd loan. So we don't know now. You see, for example, Akala is now raising more than 200,000 KSM, I believe. I'm not so sure. I didn't check. So um, that's a huge amount. But I think the other new Parachains, the 20th or the 30th, will not have that kind of amounts. So it will be much less and much less competitive. So yeah, it's the first places will be the most expensive ones. So
Yeah,
now, yeah,
yeah, I
sorry.
mean, I was always curious, as you know, in the lead up to this, like how much it really would cost to actually secure a slot. So Shiden obviously is vying for a Kusama slot, and then you have Plasm, which will be, I assume vying for a slot on the Polkadot
Yes,
chain.
correct.
Like, how do you think that will shake out? I mean, compared to what we're seeing, because I mean, like, you're right. It's like, I think we're close to $200 million worth of Kusama being locked up in the first four auctions, or first four crowd loans. I mean, where does this go with Polkadot? I mean, it just seems like, I mean, it could get crazy.
Yeah, I think Polkadot will be another level, because in the first period of going forward to the auctions, for Plasm Network, the first goal was let's go for a slot on Polkadot. But then everything evolved, and we had to be on Rococo first. Then the parity announced that, okay, before going on Polkadot, you need to prove yourself on Kusama to make sure that your parachain is working as stable on Kusama, so that they will know it's ready to go on a more stable version in Polkadot ecosystem. So that's why we also created Shiden to connect to Kusama. But our main goal is actually the Polkadot. That's our main
Hmm.
goal, because for having that smart contract hub, we really want that in place in Polkadot itself. So I think Polkadot will be just another level. That will be I'm looking forward to this. But yeah, we are already at this moment, we are building our strategy for Polkadot, because now we know how it will go on Kusama, and we already learned a lot of new things that we need to improve for the Polkadot. So that's why we also happy inside the team that we have the opportunity also to launch on Kusama, because this is also a learning period for us to know how to handle the Polkadot pool, because for us, that's our main goal for the future for 2021. Let's hope it will still happen in 2021. But let's see how that goes. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, what would you say has been the biggest challenge that you guys have faced through the build up to these auctions,
The biggest challenge was
other than waiting
actually,
for Gavin to?
well, that's number one, and then number two is yeah, just because we are a very technical project. So we are building a smart contract hub. It's not that sexy for just users. So we wanted to we need the community to log their KSM for us. So we had to make sure we attract enough of the community members to join us. So we had to look for solid partners as well, having some great announcement ready for looking for great NFT partners, because during the NFT hype that's still going on, we are making great partners in the NFT space there that they are going to build on top of Shaded Network. So that was very challenging for us, because as a smart contract hub, yeah, it's not, yeah, like I was saying, it's not that sexy. It's not that, yeah,
You
it's
need
more
to
for
give
the,
out you need to give out monkey NFTs. That
yeah.
seems to be the hot thing right now. So
Yeah, maybe it's a good thing. So that's why we also, yeah, we partnered with some NFT partners, and also everyone who's joining our crowd loan will be able to claim an NFT, so they can show that they are a real supporter and a fan of our project as well. So yeah, that's actually was our main yeah, something we really had to work on to make Plasm out there, to get the name out there. So we have great partnerships now with you guys as well, with Cochrane. We have made a deal with Binance as well, and other exchanges that are trying to invest with us. So that's great to have the top tier exchanges supporting us. That will also give trust to the community, knowing that if those exchanges like Kraken supports Shaded Network, and everyone knows how Kraken is handling everything in the US with all the laws and applications forms. So it must be a trusted, a solid company. Otherwise, Kraken, for example, will not go with us, for example. So we are very happy to have you guys supporting us, because this will give also trust to the community as well. So thank you.
yeah, yeah, you're welcome. I mean, prior to me joining Kraken, I ran Open Bazaar, a community driven project as well, and so I know what it's like to have to rally those kinds of supporters and get funding and do all that. It's very difficult, and it's great to have larger organizations support your cause. So certainly happy to do that. I mean, and obviously the podcast that we're doing right now is, I mean, the focus of this is really helping people understand and get to know the teams and projects that are doing these parachain auctions. I think it's really important, especially after the year that we've had with pandemic, and not being able to go to conferences and meet people in person and really get to know the teams, which I think was such a crucial part of, the build up to the ICO boom and everything else that was going on. It's like there's something missing over the last year, and hopefully that changes. But I think we've learned to move into a world where videos and online content is so important. So we really
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on. You mentioned NFTs and stuff. I mean, like, what do you see as being the biggest interest areas for the folks that would want to build on top of this smart contract layer? I mean, do you think that there's a lot of work that's going to be going on in NFTs with you guys? I mean, are you getting feedback from your community?
Yes, we do. We actually have important announcement also ready. So we will be working with. We have partnered with Double Jump Tokyo. That's one of the greatest and one of the greatest NFT um, projects in Japan. Like Japan and China is very popular with the anime and things like that. So the NFT
Is it?
space, I heard it during some team meetings,
What
but
is
I
it?
don't know a little bit. So yeah, it's so having those partners with us will also connect to the Chinese community, because we all know Chinese community is very close, and it's not so easy to get that community behind you. So with NFTs that we will be focusing in during the first phase of launching Shaden, we will mainly focus on NFTs now, because we have that great partnership with Double Jump Tokyo. We also have great partnerships with other projects like Boundly. They created a polka pet for us. They will create a polka pet game that they will be using with NFTs. So that's also great to have. So there are a lot of NFT marketplaces that have contacted us to build on Shaden Network, to be part in the Polkadot ecosystem. Not only to be part in the Polkadot ecosystem, but also to use our multi-chain features. So they can also use And when they build on top of Shiden network, they also have the possibility to exchange to, let's say, Cosmos, exchange to Ethereum. So they have other bridges in place that they can use through us as well. So, and one important aspect I want to mention for our network, we have a unique feature called dapps staking. And this is actually basically where we give developers a passive income, meaning, let's say, you deploy an application on Shaded Network. I can nominate your contract, and by doing so, you can earn as developer rewards from with our native tokens, as well as the nominees who are nominated your contract as well. They can also earn rewards. So in our network, we will have two kinds of staking mechanism. One will be the most common one, staking on validators on, and the other one will be you can stake your native tokens or SDN tokens on top of projects they are building on top of us. You can just nominate a project and you will earn, um, yeah, rewards through the block, and the developer will get rewards, and you guys as nominees, the user will get rewards as well. So that's another feature that we will have, because we really want to make our platform free for every developer to use. So now if you will deploy a contract on Ethereum, you have to pay high gas fees. And at the end, maybe you can lose some money. You can, if you are getting really big, you will earn some money. But what we want to do on Plasm ecosystem is developer deploying the contract in our ecosystem, on our platform. They can earn rewards through our staking mechanism. So building on top of us will be actually free for a developer, and they can earn some extra native tokens as well by doing so. So that's also a great unique feature I want to mention, the dapps staking. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
really cool. I mean, I think creating positive incentives for like developers, but also people that are using the dApps that they're building. That's really huge. Kickstarting a new community is certainly a really challenging problem to solve, and I think
yeah,
creating those incentive mechanisms really helps a lot. Um, so, uh, I just to go back real quick to the NFT piece. I mean, this is something that like has been like super hot over the last few months, and then recently kind of cooled off a little bit. But like, where do you see that like going with in respect to the smart contract platforms? I mean, do you think that like there's more like where could this go next? I mean, I've been reading a lot about how teams are looking at maybe like incorporating NFTs and that kind of functionality into like real world objects and building smart contracts around that. Like what kind of things are you doing with your platform to kind of prepare for where these things are going? Like how do you make it so that it's expandable and people can really grow and the ideas can get bigger and bigger, and
yeah,
like really stretch the capabilities of what you guys have built.
yeah, correct. So I want to go back a little bit, back to the story of how I became member of Plasm Network. I joined the team actually through a hackathon on the Encode hackathon, where where Plasm was partnered with the hackathon. I joined the hackathon because I really wanted to know more about the Polkadot ecosystem, and that's where I found out about the Plasm network, learning about the project, and so on. So I joined the hackathon because I wanted to build a project, and my project was based on bringing those utilities to the NFTs, mainly because I had some experience in the luxury industry, as in the marketing of the luxury industry as well. So I wanted to create some luxury goods that they will have the proof of authenticity, the proof of ownership with that item in the real world, and they will have the certificate in the form of an NFT token. So that this NFT token will be used, let's say if there was something wrong and you had to go to the repair shop, everything will be recorded in that NFT. But I never could have finished the project because I went to Plasm Network and the project went to the site. But mainly, I think NFTs is all about utilities, that they can bring with it. It's very simple. You can just create an NFT. It's very easy actually to create an NFT on our ecosystem. Just deploy an NFT smart contract, and you can do some calls with it, and so on. So NFTs will, I believe NFTs will be a big thing in the future also because it will have the real use cases in the world, like fan tokens, like you see now with all those football clubs that are going now with all
Yeah.
those tokens going, and also like for the retail, you can say, oh, I have a coupon in an NFT form. You give this and you scan this NFT with us, you get a discount of 10% in the store, and so on. So it has so many possibilities to go with NFTs, and I think we only have, with the hype now going on, we only have saw a very small piece of what it can do, but it will be, let's say in 10 years it will be normal that people will have their cell phone with NFTs and they can use it everywhere that they want to go. They can have it like a fan NFT, like you can, artists can know who is having my NFT. They can do some, send out some swag to those NFT holders, or give them extra benefits during a show or things like that. So it has endless possibilities with the NFTs. So I think we just saw the tip of the iceberg. Let's say that there's still so much going on there. And recently I saw an article today in the newspaper. Yeah, you know how the newspapers and the media is about cryptocurrencies and things like that, so it's always negative. And there was an article, oh, the NFT hype is over, it lasted only 4 months. Boom, that was it. And then there was like a summary about all those auctions happening and all that money was thrown away, and yeah, it's like that's the media. I think they always want to bring it down, like what we are doing here, but this will be, yeah. I think we only see sort of beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I think we tend to go through cycles, right? Like, I mean, I remember when crypto kitties like blew
Yeah,
up the Ethereum network, and everybody was like, "This is so dumb. They're just cat, kitties, digital kitties." And it's like, well, yeah, but you have to look at like that was just like the first test run of this technology,
yeah,
right? Like,
correct.
it's
Yeah,
going to
it is.
evolve, and because that was successful, 10 other projects were able to now grow. And I think right now this new boom we've seen, I mean, it's just been much more incredible to see that work. And I think this time next year, or maybe even 2 years, we'll see a lot more of that kind of stuff for sure. And one of the things that's special about Polkadot and relatedly your project is that concept of bridging from different chains and things, right? Like a lot of these other alternative layer one blockchains are trying to, like, it's like winner takes all kind of approach to
Yeah,
everything, and
yeah,
and they don't really think of it conceptually as like, well, we want to play nice with all these other chains, like, because personally, and I don't know how you feel, probably agree based on what you're doing, you know this world is going to be multi-chain. It just
yeah, yeah.
it's
Of
just the
course,
way it
it's
is.
it's, it's true. It's the same as sort of, oh, we are. I don't know the name of the company. We are the Ethereum killer. Now, like you can't kill Ethereum. It's like, oh no, it's not possible. So don't go out to the market that you are Ethereum killer, because yeah, we need Ethereum in as a use case in the blockchain industry. So yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, the fascination with like killing everything. I don't
yeah,
quite know why, but I mean, I think we just have to get to a place where we realize what is the true function and nature of those blockchains. I mean, I think Bitcoin has settled nicely into this store of value narrative, and Ethereum is having its own struggles with scalability, which I think is going to be a big issue for them. But
yeah,
I think I really like the perspective that everything can be very interoperable, and it's certainly making it seem much more feasible by seeing all the bridges and things popping up. So it'll be really cool. uh, you
yeah.
know well, I have one fun final question that we like to ask all the guests on the show.
Great.
And up until now, this has been based on coming up to the crowd loans, but now that the crowd loans are actually in progress, I don't know how it'll impact your answer here. But we like to ask for something called a chaos score. So the slogan for Kusama is expect chaos. So 1 to 10, what score do you give this? How chaotic has this whole experience been for you guys as a group? What's the official chaos score from you guys? 1 to 10.
That's such a difficult thing because we are still struggling every day now with new things. So the chaos hasn't been settled. So it's not easy to give it a score because we are still running it at full speed. So maybe afterwards we can see how much. But for now, it's like, yeah, it's high, but we all love it actually. It's a high score that is very chaotic because we don't know. It's all new. We are the first one doing this. We have to raid a lot. Our strategy has changed dozens of times, and but at the end we recently had a team meeting where we all had a beer and just like, okay, this was fun. This is fun. This is what we love to do. We love to program. We love to develop. We love to build the next new thing. We want to build something that's that we need in the world. So to give it a score, I would say let's have another podcast during the Polkadot auctions, and I can give you a score for the Kusama auctions. And after all things are settled, but it will be a high score. But I expect, if I say now, it's a 9 or an 8, and then we have to go to Polkadot, and it's more. Then that 8 will be maybe
okay,
too high.
Give us a score for this moment in time. What right today? What is it? Is it an 8 or a 9? What is it? Come on, we gotta mark you down.
I give it an 8. An 8.
An 8. Okay,
an 8.
All right.
I don't want to give it a 10 because that means we are at the limit, but I think we can still go.
You're giving yourself room for more chaos. Okay.
Yes.
That's fair. We'll take it. Okay. All right.
Cool.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks again to our guest, Maarten. It was great learning more about Plasm Network and their Kusama project, Shiden. Make sure you like, subscribe, and review us on your favorite podcast platform, and we'll be sure to bring you along as we get a backstage pass to the world of Parachain auctions. Remember, you can learn more about all things crypto by going to kraken.com/learn. And until next time, I'm Brian Hoffman, and this has been the Parachain Auctions podcast hosted by Kraken. This content is not financial or investment advice. All interviews and discussions are opinions only. Kraken does not endorse the accuracy of this content. None of the following information should be construed as a recommendation to support any specific Parachain project or to participate in Parachain auctions in general. See our terms of service for more information.